Hey to the most amazing nurses. It is Dr. V here with Morning Infusion with Dr. V podcast, where we are intentional about teaching nurses how to work from anywhere around the world, making money and owning your own time, building profitable nurse coaching and consulting businesses. You will hear from amazing guests that have grown their companies and want to share insight into how you can do the same to change the face of healthcare as we know it. If you want to grow your businesses and leverage your knowledge as a nurse to grow wildly successful businesses at the top, instead of working your way to the top, head on over and join our Millionaire Nurse CEO group on Facebook, where you can ask questions and get updates on our live and virtual events to help you grow your businesses. Good morning, everyone. So I'm super excited. Today we have Zipporiah. Zipporiah, I told Zipporiah this. I said, listen, I said, you're the smartest 26-year-old that I know, okay? Because let me tell you something. This chick right here has got it going on. So Zipporiah, tell us who you are in your own words.
I am nurse practitioner, a sister, a daughter, and a great friend, most would say, and someone who is always trying to uplift others and just make the hard things seem like it was there for a reason, for the most part. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit about, of course, I always go back to your childhood. And with your beginning days in nursing. So let's talk about what happened. So you were a transporter. Am I correct about that?
Yes, I started off in the hospital as a patient transporter. I eventually worked my way up to, from patient transporter to unit clerk to nurse extern to then becoming an RN. And
now, what made you become a transporter from the beginning?
I wanted to see if I liked nursing. Like, I just wanted to see if nursing was something that was doable for me, if hospital work was something that aligned with me. And when I was there and I saw what nurses were doing and I saw, okay, yeah, I can do that. Like, that's not hard. So I wanted to make sure that this was an environment that I could expose myself to, for one, like have an understanding of before I got into nursing school, and then also making sure that this was something I could do.
See, let me tell you something. That's how smart she is, okay? Because we just be like, well, we just gonna go and we're gonna get this degree, and we really don't know whether it's gonna work out for us or not, because that's what I did, okay? Because my mom was like, listen, I want you to go to nursing school, and I was like, well, okay. Like I had no idea. So that's what I'm talking about, the level of forethought. That is that's pretty phenomenal, So you got into nursing. And then you went back and got your FNP. So what made you want to do that?
Burnout.
Mm.
I think, everyone wants to say, oh, you go back to school and you're still gonna be burnt out, which is true. I didn't realize that at the time, but what I knew in that moment is that, like, COVID was a lot, caretaking bedside was a lot, and my body couldn't sustain that for long periods of time, and I knew this. So I started creating an exit plan, and that exit plan, initially started off with wanting a med spa, and then exploring like the med spa arena. I said, well, it make more sense to go back and get my FNP, and I'm trying to figure out how to get there, as seamless as possible. So I'm like, where can I find a 1-year program or at least 18-month program? And I stumbled across the University of Miami, and didn't even really realize how like prestigious the school was. Just like put in my application, threw it out there, and was just like, okay, if I get in, I get in. If I don't, I don't. Ended up getting a full scholarship there to attend.
I knew that was going to happen. I knew that would have happened. Now tell me a little bit about, because you had started to travel with COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And tell me a little bit about what happened
with your you were trying to go and live in Miami, and there was a an incident that happened. And the reason why I'm going over this is because I want people to understand that things will happen in your life. And when things happen, your prison can be either your passport or your perspective can be either your prison or your passport. And what I really admire about Zipporiah is her resilience to just say, this is just a blip in the screen. This is just a blip in the road. I'm good. I'm going to move forward and I'm going to move past this. And she may not have felt that at the time, but you go ahead, you tell me what you felt at the time.
Okay, so the original plan, once I got into nursing school, once I got into the program, I had connected with another nurse who resided in Florida, who knew someone who also resided in Florida looking for a roommate. So she connected us. We exchanged pictures. We liked the room, and we went over it. She sent me, I told her that I got in. She sent me like the lease agreement, and I didn't want to agree to anything without reading it thoroughly and having someone look over it as well. But she didn't send it immediately. She sent it like maybe like into July, early July. And around that time, like, I had a family reunion. It was my birthday. I started a new job. I started a per diem job so I could be able to like work a little bit while in school. And just a lot of moving parts, trying to figure out how to get all my things into storage. It was just a lot. Um, and I was communicating this with her and like letting her know or whatever. And then like day after my birthday, I'm like, okay, everything is good. I can like sit down and I can like read this and I can go through it and have like someone or other than myself look over it as well. So I get to that point. I open my laptop, about to tell her, okay, I signed it. Here you go. I open my email and she's like, you are not welcome in my home. I do not, you wasted my money, you wasted my time. And I'm just like, well, I was communicating with you about the reason of why I hadn't signed it. And she, she didn't want to hear it. And respectfully, I mean, I understand, in a sense of like, it was a long time. It was like 2 weeks. I could see how that could worry someone, especially if they don't know you. But doing that, I had to basically figure things out. So I had to fly to Miami, look for somewhere to stay so I could apartment hunt. Not really a lot of options sporadically like that. I found one place, but they didn't have anything for a month. So I ended up moving to Miami and staying in Airbnb for 1 month until I could move into my apartment. Also had to pay for movers to move all of my things, to have like a bed in my apartment and things like that from out of my storage, and to move it to Miami. So like a lot of unexpected costs, a lot of unexpected um, yeah, flights, because I also had the job in California, so I'm flying back and forth to do the orientation and to work. So
And what was your thought during that time? Was your thought I'm over this, or was your thought I'm going to push through?
my thought was, I'm going to push through. Like, this didn't happen for no reason. Like, I understand, like, things happen out of my control. But that wasn't even icing on the cake, because things just continue to happen. Like, uh, to the point where, like, I end up having to quit the job because I had 5 classes, and flying back and forth wasn't sustainable. Like 14, 18-hour flights wasn't sustainable. Also, end up quitting that. So they sent the last check to my mom's house. Then ended up having to take out loans because I spent a bunch of the money that I had saved to move to Miami, and took out those loans. So they sent me a refund check. They also sent that to my mom's house. My mom's mails the checks. They lose the checks. And
Jesus.
I just like, how do you overnight checks and they get lost with the tracking number and everything? So I was just like, you you just have to let things flow. Like, when things like that happen, like, out of your control, you have to focus on what you can control. And
Mm.
that's what I did. I kept my head down, and I, you know, had 5 classes and just focused on those classes at the time and what I could control, and prayed about it and gave it to God, because that's all you can do in situations like that.
I love it, and that's really important, because I think a lot of times what happens is people get into a disarray when it comes to things that happen. Things are out of your control at times. And any of you who think that things are in your control at all times, then you're delusional. Okay, we love you, but you're delusional, and things are gonna happen like that. But it is within yourself to have that peace that surpasses all understanding. And like you said, things happen for a reason. We don't know what that reasoning is. We have no idea what that reasoning is. But I think that what it did for what I see in you today is just a resilient young lady who is absolutely wanting to absolutely just kill it in entrepreneurship. And I love, 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 all that you're doing in that space. So now tell me, you then became an FFB, all right? And along that journey, there were a few other things that happened. So tell me a few things like that happened.
So when I towards the end of the program, it's like my birthday. I fly home to see my mom and my sister, and my sister's just about to have a baby, and we talk and we're like hugging and kissing and I not kissing, I'm sorry, you know what I mean. Hugging and sharing like the love. Yeah. And she's like, I get on the plane and I land and I wake up in the morning and she's like, wake up in the morning, I go get something food. My sister just calls me, she's frantic, and I'm just like, what's going on? And she's like, telling me that they're telling her that she's gonna have to deliver her baby. Otherwise, her and her baby are going to be at risk. And I had to figure that out. My sister's not someone who will call my mom first. She's someone who's going to call me first. And I wasn't physically there to be able to do anything for her. And that was new to me because I've always been able to be there physically for her. But in this case, I had to kind of surrender here too. So call my mom, let her know what was going on. And it was just a lot because not only was that, after my birthday was finals week. So this is not just any finals, these are benchmarks. And benchmarks are like, there's no curve in it. There's no way of knowing what will be on it. So I would stand on the phone with her as she was trying to figure out whether she wanted to keep the baby or save herself. And trying to show my sister that, like, you can have another baby, but you won't get another life was very traumatic. But I've never lost anything like that, so I couldn't be a decision maker and telling her what was best for her. But
It's interesting to me because in those decisions, I think that people don't always know that typically if something happens to you, and there's a high likelihood that that baby is not going to survive, right? And you in that moment, and I know it's a tough thing in that moment, and especially given the landscape of what we got going on these past few weeks, these past few months, it is, people have to understand, those are decisions that you're going to truly have to make. Like your sister at that time didn't have to make a decision. But these are decisions that you're just like, it's do or die. So anyway, go ahead.
So I was staying on the phone with her, like I was up studying her on the phone and just like studying while, listening to her, like just really pour her heart out and like cry and ask God why. And it was difficult. One of the most difficult things I ever had to like go through. But as I'm walking out of like answering like the last question on the test, the last question on the test was pertaining to like a situation mirroring hers. And it was almost like an aha moment. Like, I feel like it was like a whisper from God that telling me that this is what you're supposed to be doing. Like, you are in the right place. You did make the right decision by staying here. I know that's kind of like a distorted way to look at it, but for me, it felt like, okay, this isn't a coincidence why I'm seeing this question. And I'm able to answer this question because I did choose to stay here. And I ended up passing and it being fruitful. So, and then later after that, ended up moving to California in efforts to just sustain my bills and like licensing and like it's just so much paperwork that goes into finalizing your degree and getting the credentials as well. So that's why I moved to California. While I was in California, I experienced like a traumatic like betrayal of two of my closest friends, and one was my friend, and then one was also like my intimate partner, and finding out that they were like betraying me behind my back while being in a relationship. And that was something that I didn't know would break me in the way that it did. And it had me just weak. I wasn't able to focus. I was not able to think clearly. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel like my patients were safe in my care. And I had to make a decision to leave California a lot earlier than I intended to. And I accepted a job in Connecticut.
I love it. I love it. Because you built that resilience, and the baby is okay, correct?
The baby was not able to make it. My sister did end up losing her baby.
Okay. All right. And so how did your sister do, and how did you do during that time?
During that time with my sister, it was difficult. Like I said, like we've always done life together in a sense, and to not be able to just hop on a plane and be there by her side was traumatic. But through the grace of God, like nursing is small world. One of my nursing people, someone I went to school with, she was there, and we still had each other's personal numbers, and she would just update me as on my sister's progress and things like that. But I will say it did make my sister kind of, more resilient as well, and realistic when it came to what it means to bring a baby into the world. And for me personally, it made me realize that there will be things out of my control. There will be things that I can't do, and I can't be there and show up. But what I can do is focus on what I can control in this moment, and surrender to the need to focus on the negative, or hyper focus on what I can't do, and that being more disempowering than empowering, if that makes sense.
I love it. And I say this all the time. One of the things that we have to understand is that whenever we go through things, we're not going through the thing for us. And a lot of times we think that we're going through the thing for us. We're not going through it for us. We're going through it so that we can help somebody else get through what they've got. And when we go through it with that perspective, then it literally changes the way that we look at life, period. So we're gonna go to a commercial, and then we're gonna come back. We'll hear the rest of Zipporiah's story, because let me tell you something, it's amazing.
I became a nurse because I wanted to help heal people, to make a meaningful impact in their lives.
I was immediately attracted to her confidence. Absolutely phenomenal.
A full heart.
And just had a connection.
I spent 15 years in emergency nursing, and as I sat at the emergency desk one day, I began to see a pattern. While we cared deeply for our patients, we weren't always solving the bigger issues. We were working so hard, but many times we were only addressing symptoms, reacting to crisis, instead of preventing them. It wasn't anyone's fault, but the system wasn't designed to be proactive. And in the midst of it all, I saw nurses, amazing, compassionate nurses, completely drained. Nurses like you and me, exhausted, burnt out, broken from the grind of giving everything and still feeling like it's never enough. Physically, emotionally, and financially, we were stretched to our limits. I saw it in my coworkers, and I felt it in myself. That's when I realized my purpose, to create something that would support nurses, not just as caregivers, but as individuals with dreams, goals, and limitless potential.
She helped me through VP Nursing to get the systems in place
to run my business to where I can be outside of my business, still have it successful, and spend more time with my family, do the things that matter. I want to say thank you to VP for offering this opportunity to us as a community, and I look forward to her next event that's coming back in August.
I wanted to help nurses thrive, not just survive. I knew that the key to real change wasn't in climbing the corporate ladder or waiting for someone else to fix things. It was in giving nurses the tools to step in entrepreneurship, to create businesses that not only transform healthcare, but give them the freedom to live life on their own terms. My heart ached for nurses because I knew we deserved better. I wanted nurses to feel whole again, to have physical, emotional, mental, and financial freedom. And that's when I made the decision to stop waiting for the system to change and start creating something new. That's why I built the company. My mission is to help 10,000 nurses reach 6 figures and 1,000 nurses to reach 7 figures.
I have to say that this conference was absolutely amazing. It was life-changing. And I'm looking forward to working with her. I'm looking forward to her coaching me to become a $1 million nurse CEO. The testimonials, the connections that we made, is the community that I have been praying for. And I thank God for answering all my prayers.
It's been great. It's been like overwhelmingly great.
This year, we're celebrating our first ever 7-figure nurse entrepreneur, and it's just the beginning. The Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference is your chance to step into that vision. It's not just a conference, it's a movement, a place where nurses come together to connect, to learn, to build businesses that align with their passion and purpose. If you've ever felt like there's more out there for you, this is the moment to take the leap. We can't wait to see you there.
So join us for that Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference. It's coming up February 21st and 22nd of 2025. I don't want to date this video, but anyway, it is what it is. So now, Zipporiah, tell us a little bit about what connected us and the reason why you came to us. Tell us a little bit about that.
I realized, like what you said, basically, and similarly, Toni Morrison said, if you are free, you need to free somebody else. And that set with me. And I realized that I have something special that I can share with someone else. And I knew that it had to be something that required like systems. It had to require me to become business acclimated. And I realized that I also was uncomfortable exchanging time for money as well. Like I wanted this to be something value based, and I knew I needed a coach. So I went on a look. Went on a search for one. I joined a bunch of masterminds, and yours just hit home for me. And I got on a call. Everything you said resonated. I was very afraid initially, but I took a leap, and here we are.
So now tell me a little bit about, so who is your target market? Okay. Who do you actually serve in your target market, and what do you actually do for them? The transformation that you create for them.
Okay. So I help professionals in high stakes environments, particularly those in investment banking. I help them build emotional resilience, mental resilience, and self-sustainability within their career. I know that for me being a nurse during COVID, and also just experiencing life outside of the hospital and trying to juggle a career can be challenging. And if you don't have the tools that nurses are exposed to often, just because that's something that we study. It may not always be like the forefront of like everything, but it's something that we all know we need to do. I know that that's not really something that people in finance are familiar with, and I want to provide that for them because I remember during COVID, it was something that we struggled with very heavily.
So tell me about the finance industry. Give me some statistics behind that, because I didn't know. I mean, I know that, they're talking about numbers all the time. So tell me a little bit about them and why they struggle sometimes.
It was always quotas to hit, a client that needs something that like they would never really have time off. They're always working, trying to put together financial models and within time frames, and just having like bosses who are constantly moving the goalposts and things like that, which can make for a very hostile environment, also competitive, and long working hours. And then now they're talking about they want to also have the stock market to be 24 hours. I can't imagine how that would be for that industry.
Are they talking about that?
I saw that on 24-hour stock market. The I can't
The one that I trade on, and I can trade anytime I want to. But anyway, go ahead.
yeah. I think so I it's so bad that they have like a few deaths that have happened. 35-year-old passed away from a stress-related blood clot. So not only is it about resilience, but it's also about health and prioritizing that.
I think that is something that we just don't realize how bad stress can really. I mean, it shows up physically in your body, and a lot of people don't really understand that. They don't understand the physical manifestations that come with that. They don't understand all that is done, whenever your body is going through stress. And so what are some of the things that you feel like when it comes to, and you don't want to serve just investment bankers, like you want to serve women investment bankers, correct?
Correct. So women in the industry, especially high people who put a lot of pressure on themselves. So particularly like high achieving women who are constantly searching for the next best thing or the next best goal. Sometimes searching for things outside of yourself leads to traps, and you feel trapped or you feel like you can't move forward. So what I offer is just a framework that kind of helps you sustain confidence, sustain resilience, and move forward.
I love that. And I just want to say this. I want to say two things, okay, about who you are at this point, because you came into the game. When did you start? When were you a transporter? How old were you?
That was in 2018. Transporter. So I was like 19, 18 when I was
19 or 18.
Mm-hmm.
Started your career. You're now a family nurse practitioner, so you escalated pretty quickly, and now you are into entrepreneurship. And the reason why, and I want you to hear what she said, because what you said was, I don't feel comfortable trading money for time. That's it's game changing, okay? Because at the end of the day, what we have to understand is that when you trade money for time, and you do that all the time, a lot of people get upset about nurses and how we come out of the gate and we want to be entrepreneurs. But the reality is that if you want to be secure and stable, a lot of times that's what has to happen. You don't always trade. You're not trading money for time. And I think that it's twofold, right? So you're extremely young. You're gonna, hit millions before you know it. But the deal is that it's not just you, right? And so there's people who are older and they're like, oh my God, she is young and she's got a head start, and I don't know if I can do that, right? So you're 44 and you think life is over, right? But the reality is that, and we talked about this on the masterclass, is that Warren Buffett didn't get most of his riches until after he was 51, 52 years old. 99.7% of his riches came after that age. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have to understand is that you, young, him, older, It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It is a mindset shift. Now, I want you to explain some of the mindset shifts that you had to have in order to embrace this environment.
Mindset shift. One of the things, like, when people are at a low point in their life, that's all they can think about. What I focus on is that if I'm at my lowest, that means I'm able to plant seeds. And if I'm in the ground and I'm here, that means everything that is happening to me, I'm able to plant the opposite of that. So yes, maybe I could have had better money management at the time and saved a little bit more, but also I'm grateful that I even had enough money to push me to be able to. I had the opportunity. I had the resources, just enough. I had just enough. So planting a seed that you don't have to think about the situation being in a victim mindset. You can look at it as, I'm a victor. I overcame this, and when I have that thought process and I'm able to plant seeds, and roots grow long before you ever see a sprout, and I'm able to have this internal stability, and that just made a lot of what came next a lot easier. I also, I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I went to nursing school, I knew I needed money to start something. I was like, well, nurses always have a job. I always can pick up a shift to support my then business. But what I didn't know is all that came with being an entrepreneur. I didn't understand that. And as I'm listening to podcasts and I'm listening to like people talking, I'm like, oh, these people lost everything. And technically I did lose everything and had to start all over. And that's what I'm doing in rebuilding. But that's the thing, is like, how are you going to look at this situation? If you could do it once, you could do it again. Some people look as if they did it once and they, and they lost it all, then people are like making fun of them. But nobody knows that. You're the only person to know you lost it all. So it's just having faith in yourself and rebuilding that faith, even if you are losing that confidence, even if things don't look how you want to do, know that you are planting seeds. And once you can envision yourself in a certain place and where you want to go, those seeds will begin to manifest.
Love it. That was a bar. When I'm closest to the ground, I can just plant the seeds. That's a bar. Okay. That is phenomenal. And it, like, the way that you look at that is absolutely phenomenal. I say again, your perspective can be either your prison or your passport. A lot of people are like, I'm on the ground and woe is me. If the company succeeds, whose fault is it? It's yours.
Yeah.
If the company fails, whose fault is it? It's yours, right? And so, I'm super excited. It is a pleasure to coach you. So tell people where they can find you.
Mainly on TikTok at the moment. Loveexo.zip. So I'm there giving like free content and advice, and hopefully able to join my Facebook community from there as well. And also on YouTube, Pivot with 2 T's, PIVOTT, to purpose. So
Love it. I love it. I love it. So go and subscribe to her YouTube channel. Go to subscribe to her TikTok channel. TikTok is I hadn't seen the YouTube channel, but the TikTok is amazing. She's doing absolutely amazing over there. So go and look for her. We also have our Millionaire CEO conference coming up. It's February 21st, 22nd. We have a masterclass is coming up December 10th, the challenge from 5 until 8 p.m. We look forward to seeing you there. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And thank you, Zipporiah, because you have been an absolute gem. And I look forward to seeing you on the other side.